My manipulative fiance had an affair with my brother, and they began dating each other. My parents took their side and demanded I support their relationship. I remember coming home to find my fiance and my brother making out on the living room couch, and I freaked out, dragging him off of her and balling my fist up. I wanted to beat him to a pulp, but she started begging me not to. That's when she dropped the bomb on me. We've been thinking of a way to break this to you for some time. This isn't the first time we've been together. Please don't hate us, but we love each other. If you hurt him, you hurt me. As soon as she said that, something in me broke. I broke down, and through tears told them to get the F out, because I never want to see them again. I broke off the engagement, and my parents sided with me, sending a very angry text to my brother strongly expressing their disapproval of what he did. As the months went on, I half expected Axel and Renee's relationship to dissolve into nothingness. However, this did not happen. Instead, they actually began dating openly. They officially made a Facebook post, solidifying their commitment to one another. They posted together, smiling at the beach. The location of the post was in the Bahamas, and the caption read, "My better half." I couldn't believe my eyes. I could feel my eyes burning from the tears trying to form. I didn't realize that I had blocked Renee, but not Axel. I got a text from my cousin almost as soon as I saw the post of them together. He asked me if I'd seen the post between my ex-fiancé and my brother. I told him that I hadn't, and I was honestly a little scared to see it. My heart ached as I unblocked Renee to see her posts on her page. They had been dating for months. They had posts of each other on her page in the same locations I would take her to. Her favorite diner, the coffee shop we met at, so many sentimental places. I blocked her again to heal my heart from the pain. I never wanted to see her again. This relationship puts further strain on the family. My friends called Axel and told him off. I had multiple other family members calling me to check on me. I acted fine at first, but eventually told them about the mental turmoil that I was going through, and they offered me support. A few more months of their dating went by, and Axel and Renee were going strong. Despite the initial fury, time has a way of softening even the hardest hearts. My parents, who had been so vocal in their condemnation, started to waver. They saw that Axel and Renee were serious about each other, and that they were trying to build something new. Some family members began to argue that everyone deserves a second chance, and that love, in whatever form it takes, should be supported. Even the cousin who would call Axel to tell him how wrong he was, started to come around saying to me, well, at least they're happy, and that's what you should want for both your ex and your brother. While some family members started to sway in their decision, others still remained firm, saying that Renee had the hots for Axel since we were dating, and that was the reason why they hit it off so well. This shift in perspective caused heated arguments during family gatherings. This past Thanksgiving, we were all invited. I really didn't want to go, but my mom convinced me with what I suspect was crocodile tears. At the dinner, Axel and Renee sat on the opposite side of the table from me. It was a long table dressed with food that filled the living room. Renee avoided eye contact with me. "So, how's work been going, James?" Uncle Robert asked me. I could tell that he was trying to ease the awkwardness. "Busy as always," I told him. Across the table, Axel and Renee sat side by side, their hands entwined under the tablecloth. It was impossible not to notice, and each glance in their direction felt like a twist of the knife. "Renee's been doing great at her new job too," my mom chimed in, her voice overly bright. "She's been working so hard." I clenched my jaw, focusing on the mashed potatoes on my plate. "Yeah, she's been amazing," Axel added, smiling at Renee. "I'm really proud of her." The awkward silence that followed was palpable. Everyone seemed to be walking on eggshells, trying to maintain a semblance of normalcy. "So, James," my dad began, "have you thought about what you're going to do for the holidays?" "I haven't decided yet," I replied. "Maybe just staying home." Axel glanced at me, and I could see he wanted me there deep down. He opened his mouth to speak, but then closed it. Renee, however, wasn't as restrained. She called me and started to say she understood how things were difficult, but I cut her off immediately. I said to stop pretending everything was fine. My mom pleaded and asked if we could just have one peaceful dinner, especially since it was Thanksgiving. "Peaceful? You want peace after everything that's happened?" I shot at her. Axel's face hardened. "Look, I know we messed up, but we're trying to move forward. Maybe you should too." That felt like a punch in the gut. I was being blamed for not being okay with my ex and my brother lying to me. Move forward? Do you think it's that easy? You both betrayed me, and now you want me to just forget it and play happy family? Renee started wiping tears from her eyes. "We never wanted to hurt you, James." "Well, congratulations. You did a fantastic job," I said. "Enough!" my dad's voice boomed. "This isn't the time or place for this," I told them. I was sick of pretending everything was okay. It's not okay. It will never be okay. The room fell silent, everyone's eyes on me. I could feel the weight of their stares, the judgment, the pity. I walked out of the house and slammed the door behind me. After that night, some still stood firmly by my side, while others started to express sympathy and support for Axel and Renee. It felt like betrayal all over again. The situation escalated when Axel and Renee announced they were moving in together. My phone started buzzing with notifications from the family group chat. I picked it up, half interested, expecting the usual banter or plans for the next family gathering. But what I saw made my heart sink. Axel announced that he and Renee had exciting news and that they were moving in together. together. I stared at the message. My chest tightened. It felt like I had been betrayed all over again. I wanted to pretend I hadn't seen it, but the flood of congratulatory messages from my family made that impossible. My mom told them congratulations and that it was wonderful news. Then my dad followed up with a text saying he was proud of Axel and wished the best of luck to them. Then, my Uncle Robert said that was a big step, and he was excited to see them progressing. The more I scrolled, the more nauseated I felt. How could they be so supportive? Did they not remember what Axel and Renee had done to me? I couldn't take it anymore. The pain and anger that had been living inside me for months boiled over. Before I knew it, I was typing a nasty message. I asked them if they were serious. I told them that they were congratulating them like they hadn't destroyed my life. The chat went silent for a moment, the flurry of supportive messages abruptly halting. I could almost feel the collective intake of breath as everyone read my message. Mom told me that she knew it was hard for me, but they were still family and said we needed to support each other. The argument escalated, with messages flying back and forth. Emotions were high, and the group chat became a battleground. Family members took sides, most defending Axel and Renee now, others trying to calm me down. I told the other family members that they weren't the ones betrayed by their own brother and fiance, but they didn't seem to care and told me that everyone makes mistakes. The argument raged on, each message adding fuel to the fire. Finally, I had enough. I couldn't keep fighting. It was clear where everyone stood, and I felt more alone than ever. In the end, I told them I was done. I said to enjoy your life together, and don't expect me to be part of it. With that, I left the chat, silencing my phone and shutting out the noise. The fallout from this argument would linger, but for now, I needed space to figure out my next steps and to move forward on my own terms. The division within the family grew, and soon, most of them began to accept their relationship, believing it to be genuine and sincere. I felt increasingly isolated, watching helplessly as my family, one by one, started to take Axel's side. It was as if my pain and betrayal were being swept under the rug. I had no idea what to expect when Mom called and asked me to come over for dinner. She made it sound casual, just another family meal. When I arrived, the house felt unusually quiet. I walked into the dining room and saw Mom, Dad, Axel, and Renee already seated at the table. My stomach tightened. I knew that this wasn't just a regular family dinner. She didn't tell me that they would be there. I immediately asked what was going on, and Mom exchanged a nervous glance with Dad. She said that they just wanted to have a family dinner since it's been a while. I looked at Axel and Renee, who were holding hands. I asked them what this was really about. Axel cleared his throat. He said he asked Mom and Dad to invite me here because they needed to talk to me. My heart pounded in my chest. I didn't like where this was heading. I told them to go on. Renee said that they knew things had been pretty hard for me and admitted to hurting me. She said she just wanted to be honest and upfront with me. Axel then finished for her and revealed they were getting engaged. The air was heavy and suffocating. I felt like the ground had been pulled out from under me. They tried to explain to me, and my mom tried to calm me down. The final straw came when Axel tried to justify their actions. He talked about the love he had for her and the future they wanted to build. It was too much. I couldn't bear the sight of them planning a life together, a future that was supposed to be mine. I stood up. The chair scraped loudly against the floor. Without a word, I walked out. The announcement was a dagger to my heart, but the real blow came when they sent out wedding invitations. The family pressured me to attend, arguing that it was time to move on and support Axel's happiness. They said it was the only way to heal the rift and bring the family back together. I was torn. How could I possibly attend the wedding of the woman who was supposed to be my wife to my own brother? As the wedding day approached, the pressure got worse. My parents, who had initially been my biggest supporters, now insisted that attending the wedding was the mature, family-oriented thing to do. They believed that by being there, I would help mend the broken bonds. But every fiber of my being resisted the idea. Being there, watching them pledge their lives to each other, was a torment I couldn't bear. In the end, I made the painful decision not to attend the wedding. I chose to prioritize my well-being, knowing that being there would only cause me more pain. On the day of the wedding, while the rest of the family gathered to celebrate, I spent the day alone, reflecting on the situation and what it meant for my future. Sitting in my empty apartment, I realized that while I couldn't change what had happened, I could choose how I moved forward. The decision not to attend the wedding was a turning point in my life. It marked the beginning of a new chapter, one where I would focus on my own healing and finding happiness apart from the family drama. Axel and Renee got married that day, surrounded by our family who had chosen to support them. I, on the other hand, began to distance myself from those who had sided against me. It wasn't out of spite, but out of a need to protect myself and start anew. I had lost a fiance and a brother, but I was determined not to lose myself in the process. In the weeks and months that followed, I started to rebuild my life. I reconnected with old friends, threw myself into work, and even picked up new hobbies that brought me joy. It wasn't easy, and there were days when the weight of the betrayal felt unbearable, but slowly, I began to heal. One day, as I was going through some old photos, I came across one of Axel and me from when we were kids. We were smiling, arms around each other, not a care in the world. The memory brought a bittersweet smile to my face. Despite everything, he was still my brother. The bond we had shared growing up was real, even if it was now tainted by betrayal. I realized that while I couldn't forgive Axel and Renee just yet, I could work towards letting go of the anger and hurt that had had consumed me. One day, out of the blue, I received a letter from Axel. It was heartfelt and sincere, filled with regret and apologies. He explained how he had struggled with guilt and how much he missed having me in his life. He didn't ask for forgiveness, but hoped for a chance to rebuild our relationship. It took me a long time to respond. I needed to be sure that reaching out wouldn't reopen old wounds, but eventually, I wrote back. I told him that while I wasn't ready to forgive and forget, I was open to the possibility of reconciliation. It was a tentative step, but it was a step nonetheless. Over time, Axel and I began to communicate more. It was awkward and painful at first, but slowly, we started to rebuild our relationship. It would never be the same as before, but it was a new beginning. Renee remained a distant figure in my life, someone I would never be close to again, but I learned to coexist with the reality of their relationship.